Okay, so let's go over how to make a graph uh, using Google Sheets. And we're going to make a graph here of the percent pennies remaining versus the trial. Okay, so that's what the type of graph that you have to make with your with your data here. So we're going to go ahead and graph this. First thing you do is you go ahead and pick that you want to insert a chart. Now there's a insert chart icon right here. But if you can't find that, there's also in the insert menu at the top here. You click insert, and there is a place right here to select the chart. So you can go ahead and select the chart there. And what's going to happen is the first thing's going to happen is the program's going to kind of guess what you want, and it kind of guesses pretty good in this case. But let me go ahead and show you in case it doesn't guess correctly. Let me go ahead and show you how we can set this up. Okay, so you'll notice on the right hand side here, there's a thing called a chart editor, which you can call up if you want. And you can do this by double clicking on the chart. And so here's your chart. Now let's go ahead and do this here. Let me go ahead and I'm going to, let's say we didn't get anything that we wanted. And actually, there's some things here we really don't want. Let me go ahead and remove that from here and this from here. Okay, so let's say you get something like this. It says no data. Okay, what you're going to want here is you're going to want to use a scatter plot. Okay, this one has it set up as a line chart. There's a big difference between a line chart and a scatter plot. The line chart, the x-axis is not numerically based. It's just, okay, the next data. So if you put numbers in the wrong order, let's say you put 1, then 5, then 7, then 2, then 3, it won't put it in the correct place on the x-axis. So you don't want the line chart. You want the scatter plot. The scatter plot puts the x values in the correct place on the x-axis. So we go down here and you're going to see there's a choice for scatter plot. Let's go ahead and choose that one. Okay. And then we got to tell the program what we want. So what do we want? Uh, what do we want um, graphed? So you can add what you want in the x-axis, add x-axis, and um, you can go ahead and click on this little select data range, and you can highlight that. You'll notice that this says select the data range, and when I highlight what I want, oops, that's not what I want on my x-axis. What on my x-axis is the trial. So it says sheet one because you're in sheet one, and you can't see it down here because of the menu down here, but and um, it's column B5 through B11. Those are the cells here. This when you have a spreadsheet, the columns have letter names and the rows have numbers. So if you're going to want to select a range, which is a collection of cells, each box is a cell, and a collection of cells is a range. You go ahead and you name it from the first cell to the last cell in that range. So B5 is the first one, B11 is the last one. Now, if you want to go ahead and do it kind of on your, you don't want to have to name it. You just go ahead and highlight it. You go ahead and do that. You highlight it, and it puts it directly automatically. So then you hit OK. Okay. And then on the y-axis, or as they call it here, the series, you can click on Add Series. Once again, click this little waffle-looking thing here to get a range for that, and you're going to go ahead and do C5 to C11, right? Just the pennies from 100 down to 1. Then hit OK, and there is your data. I think we should get rid of use 4 rows, 04 as headers. Yeah. Unclick this one, otherwise it won't show you the first one. So you unclick that one. Now there's your data: 1, 100, 2, 53, 3, 24, 4, 12. Those are your ordered pairs. 5, 5, 6, 2, and 7, 1. Okay. So now you have the points on it. When I clicked off of the menu, it's okay. If you want the menu back, you just double click on here and you'll get the menu back. So that wasn't the setup. The setup is where you tell the program what should be on the x-axis, what should be on the y-axis, or series as they call it. And remember, you need to get rid of the use row 4 as headers, otherwise it takes one of your points away. I'm not exactly sure how that works. We can use column B as labels. Now we want to customize it. Let's say it didn't have the right names. You would go ahead and go to customize, and the first uh, this is the customize menu. This is setup menu and the customize menu. So the setup menu got us our x values, our y values. So it put the points on there. Now, when you want to put a title on there, you can go to chart and axis titles, and you can go ahead and hit chart title. They can put it be a subtitle if you want. Add that. What's on the horizontal axis and what's on the vertical axis. Any good graph has all these things. There's a title for the whole thing, and usually the title for the whole graph is what's on your y-axis versus what's on your x-axis. So this thing right here took a good guess right now. And so let's say we want, notice that it says vertical axis is your y-axis. That's where we want the percent pennies remaining. The horizontal axis right here, we want to put a title for this. We want to say that this is our trial. Put that in there. Okay. So now, as you'll see here, it says on the x-axis it says trial. On the y-axis, it says percent pennies remaining. Okay. You want to make it bigger, you can go to hit and go to the font size, get a larger size if you'd like, whatever size you'd like. Right now, it's set up to auto. If you want to go back to auto, you can go ahead and leave it for auto. Auto just means whatever the computer thinks is gonna. It's an ideal size. Same thing with the vertical axis, the y-axis. You can go ahead and change fonts, and same thing up here too. Right? Notice percent pennies remaining is my y-axis, trial is my x-axis. So percent pennies remaining versus trial is how I name it. Y, this is what's on the y-axis, versus this is what's on the x-axis. Your dependent variable versus your independent variable. Okay. Next on the customize for this one, I'm going to go ahead and close this up on the chart and axis titles. And then you're going to go to series, okay? Because what we're going to do is we're going to put they ask you to put a line, kind of connect the dots. And so we're going to go ahead and put what's called the trend line. So you can format the dots and all kinds of stuff having to do with the series of data. So you can go ahead and do that, and size of the dots and all that stuff. I'm not worried too much about that right now. What I want you to do is go down to here where it says trend line at the bottom before you go on to the next thing, which is the legend, and click on trend line. It's going to put the best straight line through your points. This is assuming this is a linear relationship. Linear relationship means every time you go over one, it's going to go move over down the same amount. But as we know from Half-Life, this type of relationship is not linear because every Half-Life we go down to half of what we had before. In other words, the difference is not always the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask not for a linear, but we're going to ask for an exponential. This is an exponential relationship. And when you click on that, it's going to give you a better line that goes closer through all the points. Okay, it shows that this is an exponential function. It's not linear. And once again, there's all kinds of other stuff that you can do here um, uh, to uh, format the graph, but that's it. I think that's all we need to do for this graph. I just want to introduce you to how you'd put together a graph on Microsoft. I'm sorry, not Microsoft, on Google Sheets. You put your data here in each of these columns, and then you have it graphed. Okay, and then make sure that you have your y-axis labeled and your x-axis labeled. Usually, the labels not only require what is being graphed, but also the units. But percent pennies remaining, well, it's in percent. It's already says right there. So we already know the units. And trial, well, trial is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? It's a non-continuous variable. Um, So that's all we need to do. Okay. And then you can go ahead and maybe download this as a PDF so that then you can go ahead and turn that up there. You'll get this, and then you can export it. Now you have it as PDF. Now it's in the download. Now you can go ahead and upload that. Okay. So this is what we're doing for this assignment. It's an introduction to the use of Google Sheets. If you can do it on another program, like I haven't used Desmos, but some people said that they can do this on Desmos. If you know how to do that, including putting the best straight line through, because what we need the best straight line through here is to later on interpolate. In other words, if we want to know what the value for 75% would be, we can go ahead and read along the 75% line to hit the line, then go ahead and read down, measure between 1 and 2, then measure between this. And so we can figure out, you know, what fraction of a trial between 1 and 2, or a half life between 1 and 2, we'd get a certain value. Then that would, works and it helps us to do that. Okay. All right. Any questions? You can go ahead and ask me.